Change is hard, and sometimes the hardest part of change is believing that you can change. My name is Michelle Shelton. I'm a registered dietitian and certified coach, and in this channel, I teach people strategies to reconnect to their natural body cues. I teach people strategies to achieve a life of health and well-being that are centered in self-trust, reconnecting to your inner wisdom, making peace with food, and nourishing from that place of wisdom, trust, and care. My objective for this video is simple. Usually I try to teach a principle and some very specific tangible skills, but today I simply want to share with you my belief that you can change and why these principles matter so much to me. To begin, let me first share with you a little bit of my own personal journey. I used to be somebody who suppressed my emotions. I was really disconnected with what I was feeling emotionally and always sort of generally flat. And I used food as a really helpful, convenient, accessible strategy to help those emotions sort of stay suppressed, to stay at bay, right? In other words, I was an emotional eater. I used to ignore my fullness, right? I used to maybe feel full or the discomfort in my body and just eat right on past that without any connection or awareness or desire to stop. I used to feel out of control with food. I used to hold beliefs that there's certain foods that I couldn't trust myself around, that I had to avoid them altogether or else it would lead to sort of this out of control eating. I used to ignore my hunger, meaning I could be starving and still not feed my body because I believed that my body needed to be controlled, that it wasn't time to eat, that I had already eaten the amount of calories I was supposed to eat, even when my body was telling me it was incredibly hungry. I used to have zero trust in my physical cues. I used to think that the path that my own body would lead me on would be a path of gluttony and of excess. I used to believe that I was not athletic, and I used to avoid physical activity at all costs. I hated it. In other words, I had nothing going for me in terms of living a life of health and well-being. I wasn't physically active. I wasn't eating well. I didn't trust my body. I didn't know how to nourish it. I didn't know how to stop when I was full. I didn't know how to honor my hunger. None of these things came naturally to me. Or maybe a better way to say it is I had lost connection with how natural it really is. So now let me ask if any of these feel true to you. Have you ever felt out of control with food, right? Maybe not all foods, but there are certain foods that are those trigger foods that you just can't stop eating. Have you ever felt like you can't trust your body, that its natural state is to lead to excess and gluttony, and if you trust it, it won't actually lead to self-care and wisdom? Have you ever felt frustration or even self-hatred for how you eat, that regret and guilt because of foods that you chose to eat? Have you ever felt that you want more control, right? Maybe that narrative, if I just had more self-control. Have you ever heard yourself asking or saying that statement? Now, the good news is if any of this does feel true to you, it is not a sign of deficiency in you. It's not. It is either a skill gap, meaning you can learn the skills to change. You can learn how to listen to your body. You can learn how to reconnect to that wisdom. Or it is a sign of an old pattern that at one time served you. And the process back to yourself is understanding how it served you and releasing it from that job, right? Updating it so that it now knows you have new skills and releasing it from that job, right? It's changing old patterns, building new skills. That is the journey back. Now let me just share with you why this matters to me. This information, these principles, intuitive eating, internal family systems, right, understanding old patterns and building new skills literally changed my life. As I shared before, I had nothing going for me in terms of living a healthy life. I had nothing going for me in terms of being physically active and feeling physically well. And when I learned these principles, it put me on an entirely different trajectory where I didn't have to fight my body all the time. I didn't have to always worry about my weight. I learned I could trust my body and its cues and use that as a way to nourish and care. I made peace with food so I could really enjoy eating again. And more importantly, it led me to deeper healings to understand patterns in other areas of my life as well, not just around food. In other words, it changed everything for me. And that's why it matters to me to offer them to you. The bottom line here is you can change. This is not about the type of person you are or aren't. It's about the path back to yourself. It's about coming home to yourself, learning to trust, to care, and to love the person that you are and nourish it in that place of connection. And I promise you it can work for you. So if you're ready to begin your journey of health and well-being, centered in self-trust, centered in self-care, centered in wisdom, go to nourishwhoyouare.com and sign up for a free coaching session. The link is in the video description. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos in achieving that life of health and well-being, centered in trust and centered in wisdom. And I will see you in the next video.